Welcome to the latest podcast from the Building Safety Group. Today's subject is noise. Some of the latest statistics from the Health and Safety Executive is 23,000 estimated number of workers with work-related hearing problems, 2016 to 2017, the figures are from the Labour Force Survey, and 70 new claims for work-related deafness in 2017 to the disablement benefits. The HSE estimate more than 2 million people in Great Britain were exposed to unacceptable levels of noise at work. Noise-induced hearing loss is the second most common reason for employers' liabilities claims in occupational health. In the United Kingdom, it's estimated that there are more than 10 million individuals, about 1 in 6, with some degree of hearing impairment or deafness. Over 1 million workers are exposed to levels of noise that put their hearing at risk, with 17% suffering hearing loss, tinnitus or other hearing-related conditions as a result of exposure to excessive noise at work. The graph on the screen now shows the decline in the number of claims over the last 10 years, which is an encouraging sign, but we still need to do better. Over the last 10 years, just 10 of the 1,395 claims were from women. This is due to the lack of women in construction, which is slowly changing, so these figures may change in the next few years. The BSG non-compliance data is extracted from the Non-Compliance Reporting Index, and the index is used to support the only known real-time reporting service which compiles high-volume health and safety non-compliance data collected for and on behalf of the construction industry via site inspections. The data is based on 20,000 independent inspections each year. The graph on the screen shows the number of occurrences for a noise non-compliance between 2017 and 2018 are shown on the graph below. Red is major and amber is for a minor infraction. And the Building Safety Group has reported a 25% increase in the number of noise infringements occurring on construction sites. This report was the result of 10,000 independent site inspections conducted during the first half of 2019, which compared with quarter 1 and quarter 2. And the next slides show the most common types of infringement. So the most common one we come across is failing to wear hearing protection when conducting noisy works. This is when noise exceeds the upper action limit of 85 decibels, and hearing protection at this point must be worn. The machine tool operator wearing ear protection but other operatives within the vicinity being exposed to the noise with no protection at all. Failing to provide suitable information, instruction and training to the operatives who are exposed to the noise, and failing to identify noise in the risk assessment method statements or creating any control measures when the noise exceeds 85 decibels. Having a cutting station set up on the ground floor where there's a pedestrian route to and from the site. Failing to wear the correct level of hearing protection, wearing hearing protection that is too high for the noise being created. Employers failing to display ear protection signage or providing earplug dispensers, and failing to have an exclusion or control zone when needed. Monitoring noise levels with an app on their phone and relying on this alone, and not verifying and checking documented expected noise levels, as the noise can be higher when working in a confined space, for example. Failing to keep the radio levels low enough to hear alarms and warnings. Workers shouldn't have to shout on site. It isn't always equipment and machines that are making the excessive noise. And worker is wearing hearing protection that is cracked and therefore not effective. The worker listening to music underneath ear protection. Workers failing to remove their ear protection when walking around site and there's no loud noise being created. Screens now showing some typical tools we find on sites with the decibel levels that the manufacturers have declared. So for instance, the cement mixer kicking off at 102 decibels and the SDS drill at 91 decibels. Further tools, we've got the spit gun at 106 decibels and the whacker plate at 108 decibels. A recent court case showed that a company making glamping pods and its director were both sentenced for failing to comply with health and safety legislation after being served with improvement notices. The Magistrates Court heard how on the 20th of March 2017 the company was subject to an unannounced inspection as part of a targeted campaign in the woodworking sector. 4 improvement notices were served requiring various matters to be rectified within a certain time. Following 3 extensions to the improvement notices, 2 notices remained outstanding months after the expiry date despite the HSE's attempts to work with the company to support improvements. The improvement notice relating to the assessment of noise risk to employees from the exposure to noise still remains outstanding. The company was found guilty of breaching Section 33 of the Health and Safety at Work Act, and the company was fined £30,000 in order to pay over £5,000 in costs. And the director was found guilty of breaching Section 33 by Section 37 of the Health and Safety at Work Act, and was fined personally £2,640 with over £5,000 in costs. In civil case compensation claims, when deciding how much a hearing loss claim is worth, several factors are taken into account. These include both the circumstances of the injury and the severity of the loss. To initially assess a claim value, there are precedents set which are used as a guide. However, as each injury is unique, amounts do vary. For mild hearing damage, compensation can be up to £7,000. For moderate hearing damage, compensation can be up to £15,000. And severe hearing damage, it can be up to £29,000. For complete hearing loss in one ear, compensation can be as high as £29,000. And for complete hearing loss in both ears, compensation could be £70,000. The main sources of excessive noise are loud music, the use of heavy machinery, workplace transport, electrical tools such as circular saws and cutter heads, production lines, pneumatic tools such as drills, grinders and riveting guns, electrical motors and generators, engineering processes such as metal fabrication, and plant rooms where ventilation equipment has to run continuously. The early signs of damage to hearing is a ringing in the ears, an inability to hear soft and high-pitched sounds, a muffling of speech and other sounds, trouble understanding conversations at a distance or in a crowd, listening to music or watching television with the volume higher than other people need, difficulty hearing the telephone or the doorbell, finding it difficult to tell which direction noise is coming from, and regularly feeling tired or stressed from having to concentrate whilst listening, and answering or responding inappropriately in conversation, reading lips or more intently watching people's faces during conversations, feeling annoyed at other people because of not understanding them, and feeling nervous about trying to hear and understand others. So some of the basic rules for working with decibels. The change in decibel levels is quite startling. 3 decibel increase, the sound energy is doubled. A 3 decibel decrease, obviously the sound energy is halved. 10 decibel increase, sound energy is increased by a factor of 10. And conversely, a 10 decibel decrease, sound energy is decreased by a factor of 10. A 20 decibel increase, and sound energy is increased by a factor of 100. And conversely, a 20 decibel decrease, sound energy is decreased by a factor of 100. So an increase of 3 decibels doubles the sound intensity, but a 10 decibel increase is required before a sound is perceived to be twice as loud. Therefore, a small increase in decibels represents a large increase in intensity. For example, 10 decibels is 10 times more intense than 1 decibel, whilst 20 decibels is 100 times more intense than 1 decibel. The slide now shows typical decibel levels within the street. There's always noise, obviously. When we look at 70 decibels, it's quite a standard level of sound. But when we start creeping up to 80, it's where we start having to take action. So a little bit about who we are. The Building Safety Group was established in 1965 and we're the largest construction safety group operating throughout mainland UK. We're a not-for-profit organisation. We're owned by our members and work on behalf of our members. We're recognised by the HSE. We have over 800 member companies located throughout mainland UK. We carry out over 20,000 site inspections per year and over 10,000 people attend our training courses. Thank you for your time today. I hope you found it informative.